A nation's political and economic circumstances affect how peaceful it is. Politically stable nations frequently draw more visitors and international capital. The most dangerous nations in South America are highlighted, along with some movies you can view to have a better understanding of the issue. The Global Peace Index rates the level of peace in various countries and areas. It rates 172 independent nations and is released yearly. The Institute for Economics and Peace created the index, which has been in use for more than 10 years. The Global Peace Index undertakes research to ascertain how much a nation is involved in ongoing domestic and international conflicts in order to gauge the degree of peacefulness. 23 indicators were utilized to calculate the index in 2017. Here is the list of the 7 most dangerous countries in South America. 1. Venezuela. Due to its political unrest, high levels of violence, and rising crime rates, Venezuela is considered to be the most dangerous nation in South America. In the Global Peace Index, it is rated 152nd. Both the nation's capital and some of its interior regions are rife with violence. Statistics show that one of the top 5 highest murder rates per capita worldwide is found in Venezuela. Over the years, reports of kidnapping have significantly increased, and armed robberies are also frequent. Apartment buildings, hotels, airports, and unlicensed taxis are a few places with a lot of kidnappings. In several tourist destinations across the nation, criminality is rife. Therefore, do an extensive study before deciding where to go. Dangerous low-income communities line the slopes surrounding the capital city. Another significant security issue in Venezuela is pickpocketing. In Caracas, criminal activity is concentrated at bus and train stations. Especially during rush hour, most pickpockets in the neighborhood are well dressed to avert suspicion. Express kidnapping is a practice that has become more common during the past 10 years. For a little time, criminals kidnap victims and demand payment. The victims are typically chosen at random. They release the victims once they have obtained the greatest amount of money. The abduction typically lasts 1 hour. In Venezuela, some criminals might also use surveys to request personal data. When responding to questionnaires, use caution. Threatening phone calls and demands for kidnapping ransoms have been made to some of the people who have exposed the information. Additionally, you must exercise caution when driving because you can become a victim of carjacking. Both during the day and at night, occurrences take place. Criminals frequently target luxury car brands. The majority of them flag down their victims to rob them of their belongings or rear-end their cars. 2. Colombia. Colombia, a nation known for its stunning beaches, mouth-watering cuisine, mountains, and salsa dance, came in at number 144 on the ranking. The high rate of armed robberies, particularly in hotels, is one of the factors that make it one of the most dangerous places in the world. Ask about security measures and what the lodging establishment has done to enhance security since the hotel attacks began before you reserve a hotel room. The likelihood of crime is very high in Bogotá. Muggers, violence, and credit card theft are a few of the frequent crimes in the nation. Knives and guns are some of the weapons that criminals utilize. There have been incidents of major injuries and murders due to resistance by victims during robberies. In Colombia, cases of the bus burning by criminals, terrorists, and protesters are frequent, especially in remote areas far from popular tourist destinations. Crimes involving taxis typically happen when lone passengers hail cabs from the street. The passenger and the thieves enter as soon as the driver stops. The victims are brought to other ATM offices until the robbers have taken the most money possible. Another significant security issue in Colombia is cyber threats. Cyber threats can sometimes be driven by politics. For instance, the president of the nation's email account was compromised a few years ago. Financially motivated cybercrimes have also increased during the past 10 years. Drugs are sometimes used by thieves to rob their victims. According to local officials, scopolamine is the most typical narcotic used by criminals. A person may remain unconscious for at least 24 hours after receiving the medications. Colombia is one of the most visited countries in South America despite all the aforementioned factors. You may have a great time in a lot of fantastic locations that are also secure. Use South American safety precautions only. 3. Brazil. The country was 116th in the world according to the Global Peace Index. Keeping a low profile is one of the simplest ways to keep safe in the nation. Wearing flashy or diamond-studded clothing is not recommended. The majority of robberies target those who enjoy expensive goods. When going about, only bring a little amount of cash and a few cards. Take your purchases back to your apartment after shopping before going out to eat or to an entertainment venue. Authorities in Brazil have noted an increase in digital device theft over the past 10 years. Use your top-of-the-line phone or other smart equipment sparingly in public settings to reduce the likelihood of theft. There are some regions of the nation that should be avoided at all costs. Cities like Rio, São Paulo, and Salvador have high crime rates at various periods of the year. Numerous holidays are when more crimes are recorded. It's not always safe for you to stay on the beaten route. Street theft and muggings are among the more frequent crimes in the nation, particularly near popular tourist destinations. Some young people might plan a robbery with older people and utilize weapons. In Brazil, pickpocketing is another huge problem. To divert their victims, the thieves employ a wide range of cunning techniques and inventive strategies. Some of the distraction techniques used on victims include daubing them with paint, smearing them with mustard, and some thieves disguising themselves as beggars on the streets. They'll rob you in nanoseconds after they've diverted your attention. The high rates of financial fraud and ATM theft are other factors that make Brazil one of the most hazardous nations in South America. Criminals and ATM have created advanced methods during the previous 10 years to rob people. If you don't use your credit card in respected hotels and stores, you could become a victim of credit card theft. Consider paying with cash while using a credit card if there are a lot of instances of credit card theft nearby. However, Brazil is a fantastic nation that is worth visiting. Just follow some simple safety precautions and everything will be great. 4. Bolivia. Bolivia is well known for Lake Titicaca, the highest navigable lake in the world, and its lovely country homes. The magic plant of the Incas can be found in the eastern portion of the Andes Range, which has subtropical valleys that are home to a broad range of flora. Sadly, Bolivia is also well known for having a high crime rate. Due to its lengthy history and ongoing civil instability, travelers should take extra precautions here. Property crimes frequently occur in homes and markets. Both are not theft. Tourists and visitors have all reported pickpocketing, purse grabbing, and stolen cell phones. It's important to avoid busy locations when visiting Bolivia. Bolivia also has a high rate of domestic violence. The extent of this kind of harassment often shocks female travelers from nations like the United States. There have also been sporadic druggings at bars and clubs that resulted in the theft of cash, jewelry, and purses. Tourists from wealthy nations should be cautious about credit card fraud at restaurants. The majority of theft in Bolivia is minor, but there have been reports of home invasions during burglaries. Apartments and homes can both be easily accessed through unlocked doors or windows. If housekeepers give robbers entry, even homes with locked doors and windows could be in danger. Depending on who is committing the crime, employees might be duped or bribed. La Paz has the greatest threat level of any location. This is due to the danger and frequency of political violence. Both Santa Cruz and Cochabamba are expected to experience demonstrations, rallies, and other forms of social disturbance. Widespread countrywide protests have been going on for several weeks, even though some of these protests are being contained. Several places around Bolivia saw the burning of electoral buildings. Bolivia's political unrest is still very intense and is not likely to abate anytime soon. The Overseas Security Advisory Council cautions travelers against protest activities in other countries. Bolivia is no different. Even a nonviolent rally can rapidly devolve into violence. 5. Guyana. The nation, which is situated on the northern landmass of South America, came in at position 101 on the Global Peace Index. The fact that English is the official language sets it apart from other South American countries. Although the people of Guyana are regarded as being friendly, there are still many risks that you should be aware of. There are a lot of violent crimes in the country, in addition to a lot of petty theft instances. To prevent being detained and questioned by law enforcement, always have your identification documents with you. In Guyana, drug trafficking is also common. Avoid packing or carrying anything that you did not buy yourself to keep yourself secure because law enforcement will take any breaches seriously. Additionally, be sure to bring your prescriptions with you to show that the medications are not illicit substances. Scams come in a variety of forms in Guyana. Money fraud is one of the most prevalent problems. Criminals frequently offer to exchange foreign currency at advantageous rates, but the money they obtain has no value. It is advised that visitors rely on banks and other hotels in Guyana that are authorized exchange providers. You won't lose your hard-earned money even though you might have to pay a higher rate. You will encounter numerous pickpockets in the nation, like in most other nations with numerous tourist attractions. 6. Ecuador. Ecuador is a relatively safe country, and female tourists traveling alone commonly say they felt secure enough to do so. However, the United States Department cautions against traveling to the northern islands of Carchay, Sucumbos, and Esmeralda owing to criminal activities. As in many other nations, pickpocketing and other minor crimes are a problem in Ecuador, particularly in major cities like Quito and Guayaquil. Carry your pouch on your front and keep your phone and cash in your front pockets. Robberies do happen in unregistered cabs and on late-night buses. Travel only during the day and with reputable transportation providers. 7. Peru. The country came up at number 86 on the Global Peace Index. Peru has a severe problem with petty crime, which makes it a somewhat unsafe country despite great improvements. The most frequent locations for stealing and pickpocketing are tourist attractions and public transit. However, violent crimes can also be witnessed on the streets. Pickpockets' primary tactic is to divert customers, such as by having an elderly elderly woman pour something over you, trip over you, or drop something at your feet, then someone will either come in and grab your full luggage or rip apart your bag with a razor. Being duped is a very real possibility in Peru. Don't get distracted by or hang out with anyone who is at a TM. Taxi drivers may attempt to con you into paying a higher fare. A word of caution, these are some of the South American nations that the Global Peace Index deems to be the most dangerous. There are various steps you may take to make sure you're safe while you're in the nation. The first thing you should do is conduct in-depth research on the nation you plan to visit. If you enjoy this video, make sure to subscribe and leave a comment below saying that you have subscribed, and we will try our best to reply to your comment. Thanks for watching.